Welcome, friends, and namaste. Find yourself in your upright posture, whatever version of that you would like. Close or mostly close the eyes and start to tune in. Tune into that inner world. And remember that a part of this practice is non judgmental experiencing. We try not to judge what we discover, we simply notice. Labeling is a great tool. I have pain in my right shoulder by my shoulder blade on the back side of my body, where I felt tight yesterday in my quad. It is more open, etc. And let's all of us tune into the breath for just a couple of breaths, a few breaths. Belly is soft, the breath smooth, and taking less breaths per minute. And of course, in our practice lately, we've been bringing in the Ujjayi breath. So I'm not necessarily going to teach it. I do have other videos where I do break it down quite intricately. You can go back and watch one of those. Otherwise, just that slight restriction in the throat. And with your next inhale, go ahead and open the eyes. And we're going to start the movement practice on our backs. So you don't need any props from your back. Go ahead and roll on down. Once you get there, pause for just a moment and just notice what you notice. And if you don't mind, have the feet on the ground at the knees met, because that's where we're going to start our next move from. So from almost constructive rest pose, go ahead and just pause for a moment. Notice what you notice. And then moving into windshield wiper. So we're going to go into twist today. You probably know that from the title, but just in case, right? Have those arms tee out. Let's start with our feet together, actually, right? So with the feet together, go ahead and let the knees start to move over to the right, back to center and left center. That what becomes the top foot can lift off the ground. It doesn't have to. And you don't have to make it all the way to the ground. We're just starting to lull the spine into that twisting motion. Yeah. And when I say spine today, I'm going to include the pelvis in that. And then go ahead and bring your legs back up, your knees. Walk your feet to about hip distance, maybe a titch wider. And same idea, just go ahead and start to very gently sway the knees right, center, left, center. Head can turn, doesn't have to. Any variations you would like, go ahead and add them in. And then when you're complete with that cycle, bring the knees back up, walk your feet maybe about as wide as the mat, wider anyway, and go into the cycle again. So it's basically the same pattern. We're just having our feet in different positions. And, I didn't say it along the way, but hopefully you can notice there is a decent amount of difference in the twist that occurs in the pelvis and spine, depending on where the position of the feet is. And we'll do yet another in a moment. So just starting to wake up the spine in the twisting motion. And then come on back to center. Walk your feet in towards hip distance. And go ahead and, without using your arms, bring your legs closer to your body. So with the knees closer to the chest, whatever that is in your body, we all have different bellies and thighs and all kinds of things, but just drawing them in gently. Go ahead and let the knees move over to the right, center, left, center. And for this one, I'm going to say don't try to go down to the floor at this point in time. Let this just be kind of a wringing out of your abdominal cavity, particularly that area of the upper abdominal solar plexus, right? And then we're going to get a little more active with it. So bring the knees back to center. Let's start to warm some other things up and bring the legs into tabletop. Now, don't just whoop them up there. Make sure you're supporting, right? Pelvic floor, low belly, upper belly. Between the shoulder blades can hug a little together and down, right? And then finding that, keeping that, and you're going to imagine you have a block between your thighs. You could put a block in there, and you're going to go over to the right. Try not to let your heels move in towards each other. And back to center and over to the left. And again, don't worry about going too far. Worry more about what's happening in what I'm going to call the top leg, right? As I go to the right, I would consider the left leg becomes the top leg. Don't let that left knee slide back off of that right leg. So work it further, faster, longer, harder, right? And imagine you're squeezing into a block. That's a really helpful tool. And when you go to the left, it would be the right leg. It wants to just slide back. The hip doesn't really want to lift off the floor. So we're going to do that again. This time, turn your head to the left as the knees go to the right. Work that left hip further, faster, longer. Back to center. And as the knees go left, you're going to turn your head to the right, trying to pin your right shoulder down, working that right hip and come back to center. And this time you're going to let your legs go all the way over to the right. Let the legs down into a passive position. If the knees need to come away from the body in order to get the right pinky toe on the ground, do. And then head can turn any direction, really, whatever feels the most comfortable to you. Pause, notice what you notice. Breathe, please. And then we're going to use core muscles here. So find the pelvic floor, move into an imaginary block, and lift those legs up. Tabletop over to the left. Tabletop-ish, doesn't have to be exact right now. And then passive when you get there, right? And again, any variation that you want. Head can turn any direction. I forgot to say on the other side, left hand could come on right thigh, you name it. Go ahead and take a few moments and just let the breath help unwind the body here. And then go ahead and bring move into imaginary block, bring the legs up together at the same time, and go ahead and hug those legs in. If you feel like you like a little rocking motion, or I personally like to really move the knees into a circular motion. And go ahead and go the other way if you're doing the circle. And then grab the backs of the thighs and rock yourself up. Right? And then as you get on up, cross your right leg in front of your left. Get nice and tall and start to bring the pelvis. The pelvis brings the spine into that forward fold. And just, wherever that is for you, we're just getting in there. Remember, it's the beginning of class still. And maybe swaying your shoulders a little bit from right to left. And then you're going to walk over to your left, reaching that right arm forward and away. Keep that right buttocks heavy. That's opposition for stretch and length. Breathe into that right side body wherever you're feeling that. And if it's everywhere, breathe everywhere. Come back to center and go ahead and put those feet out in front of you. Right? Grab onto the backs of the thighs, lengthen the spine. And go ahead and reach the arms forward as an option. You could just walk down your thighs. That would be okay. And we're going to do that one where you're going to work from 2 inches beneath your navel and then the other side, the back body as well, right? So exhale, pull 2 inches beneath the navel back and really round your low back. Yeah, the rest of the spine goes into it, but let this be low back based, right? And then pull from that upper arm of the pelvis to bring you up and in. So you're going to do that a couple of times. Find the breath and work with the breath. The next time you're back, go ahead and stay back. I'll meet you there. And once you get there, you can bring your hands together to your heart and you're going to let your upper torso turn right and center and left and center. Try to do that about 3 times. If that feels all right in your body, you can keep your head turned the same way as the chest and leave the head out of it. You can turn your head into the twist if you want to, right? All the options are on the table. Come back up, all the way up when you're complete. Left shin in front of right. Length, length, length. Pelvis, pelvis, pelvis. Softening in. And, maybe swaying the shoulders right to left. And for most folks, this is going to be in the buttocks, probably your left one since the left shin is forward, and or in that musculature kind of at the upper rim of the pelvis into the low back. And then walk over to the right, reaching that left arm forward and away. Breathe into whatever you're feeling here. And again, many of us feel the length in the left side of the body. Maybe it's armpit, maybe it's lats, maybe it's waist. All of that is, yeah, wherever you're feeling it. Come back to center and come on up. Come to hands and knees. We are going to do a couple of lunge things. So I'm going to suggest that you pad your knees should you desire to have a little bit of something under them while we do that. Put blocks at the top of your mat. That way you just have them if you want them and you don't have to go searching anywhere. And once you get your setup, we'll meet doing cat cows. No rush into it by any means. Let's just open up the spine even a little more. By now, those of you who follow me, you know that I like to move the spine through all 6 directions that it's meant to move pretty intentionally so that we can move it into the 7th, which is elongation. So we've already played with twists, twist to the right, twist to the left. Here we've got flexion and extension. And when you feel like you're in a place to come to center, come to center. And now we'll end in that lateral extension. So you can wag your tail to the right and either let your right ear move to your right shoulder, or you can turn and look over the right shoulder. They're both wonderful. And breathe into whatever you got going on and feel how that spine is moving into, I always consider this a C curve and a reverse C curve. Very shallow C, but still. And come on back to your center. We're going to let the knees go wide. Bring the toes together towards each other and let the hips sink towards the heels. Don't go all the way down. I know we're moving towards child's pose upper body, but we're going to do thread the needle from here. You're going to cross your right hand past the left inner wrist. So shoot it through that triangle. Reach, 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 and set the right shoulder down. Now, some of us, or not the right shoulder, sorry, my right shoulder's not touching, the right side of my head is. You can reach that left arm forward like a downward facing dog. You can leave it where it was. You can reach it like a downward dog. If you want a little more twist, bring the back of your left hand against your sacrum or even your right hip, and then push into the sacrum and roll that left shoulder high. But if that gets everything tense, is it really worth doing that, right? Bring that left hand forward, push the ground away, come up. Again, our hips stay low, but we're going to feed that left hand through the triangle between the right knee and the right wrist and set down the left side of the head. Arm can just come down. It can reach forward like downward dog. You can bring the back of the right hand to the left hip or the sacrum, and then push into it gently and let that right shoulder lift, moving you deeper into the twist. But again, keep the left shoulder, the neck, all the things soft, or I don't know that it's worth trying to force your body into something. Bring that hand down, push the floor away, and come up into downward facing dog. Take your time, no rush. If you have any little movements you want to do here with your body and your first downward dog, maybe the calves are tight, maybe your lats are tight, etc. So you can always kind of try to isolate into some of those areas. And then maybe stillness for a breath if it's available. Checking into the bits and the pieces and the particles. And let's go ahead, and some of us, we're going to bring our knees down, just step the right foot forward. If you really want to swing it up and bring it forward, all the power to you. Right foot comes forward somehow. Let's move the hips a little forward and then move them a little back. Maybe flex that right foot and then move them forward and stay forward. Now, left hand on the floor or a block. I like my block on low personally. I'll kind of show you that setup. Right hand on the thigh. And now don't twist yet. I have a request. You're going to take that right thumb and slide it down into the right hip. Without your right knee going wide, pull the right hip in and back, but keep the the right knee tracking over the second toe. And then from there, push into that left hand, left shoulder over left wrist, rotate that right shoulder and arm back, and maybe that right arm reaches up, but keep that hip in and back if you can. Now, this might be where your edge is today. You might curl the left toes under and straighten and lengthen the left leg and breathe. Ujjayi breath if you got it in you. Bring that right hand down and you're going to step back to downward dog, or you can go to child's pose or just do a cat-cow from hands and knees. Take a breath. And again, some of y'all might want to do the leg swing. If you do, it's all yours. I'm personally going to bring my left knee down. All of us will get the left foot forward somehow. And then we're going to inhale and let our hips move forward and down. Hey, right psoas, how you doing? And exhale, hips move back, flexing left foot a little bit, maybe, hey, left hamstring. And then come forward into your high lunge. So we're not draping and sinking down in, right? We've got a little bit of support in the hips. That right hand's going to come onto the block and left hand on the thigh. Now, before you twist, maybe slide that left thumb, the L shape, into the hip crease. I want you to pull that left hip in and back, but notice that the left knee wants to go wide and follow that. So make sure your left knee tracks over your second toe. And then go ahead and push in that right hand. We're going to twist from there today. Push the right hand down, right shoulder blade down the back. It rotates the ribs. Maybe turn and look up. And then maybe that left arm reaches up. Try to keep that left leg in the same position we left it in, right? Or we started in. Curl the toes under of the right leg if you want. Lift the right leg up and breathe. I like the block under my hand because it gets my belly a little higher. I can kind of maneuver my belly around my thigh instead of getting stuck on it. But you can use your hand. You can literally pull the belly and move the flesh, right? There's so many ways to work with bodies, y'all. Left hand down, we're going to step back to a downward dog. You can bring the knees down to transition, swing it back, any variation. Inhale forward to the top of a push-up, aka plank, high plank. Exhale back, downward dog. Inhale forward and exhale back. You can reach the right leg up and bring it forward between the hands, or you can keep dropping the knees to step the right foot forward, right? You know me, I'm a progressive mover, right? That's how I like to roll. Bring the left knee down, lengthen the spine. You can have the left toes curled or uncurled, right? And then you're going to inhale and you're going to come up into crescent pose with a modification. The knee is down. You're going to take that right thumb in the hip crease without the right knee going wide. Keep it tracking over the second toe. Move that right hip in and down. And as you do that, I want you to start to lengthen the left hand forward. You're reaching on a diagonal over to the right and hook the left elbow. Now, before you go further, pause. You might take that hand and kind of get some belly flesh and move bellies and ribs and things around. You might not. You can keep the hand in the hip crease. You can bring the hands into prayer. If you're in prayer, push your palms together to try to broaden the collarbones, right? Maybe you push the elbow and the knee together and it moves you into the twist. You can turn and look up. You can look forward. You can look down. I can't tell you what's best for your body today. Maybe you curl your left toes under and you lift that knee and you lengthen. Now, in this one particularly, right, I could have been saying it all along, but pull your thighs into each other and find the structure of the pelvic floor activating, right, all the way up through the crown of the head. And bring the hands down, step back, downward facing dog. Breathe. Maybe feeling a little asymmetrical right now since we only did one side, maybe not. Inhale the left leg up and bring it forward. Of course, you can bring your knees down, right? Bring the right knee down, everybody, if you can, just to find this first part, right? And then from there, go ahead and come into your crescent. I'm going to call it low crescent. We're going to put left thumb in the hip crease. I want you to pull that hip in and back without your left knee going out to the left. So track the left knee over the second toe. And as I hold that hip in and back, I'm going to start to reach my right hand forward to the left on a diagonal. I'm going to try and turn that belly, right? Bring that elbow in. And then I like to grab my hand, especially these days. I have extra belly flesh these days, right? So I move my belly and my ribs. You can leave the hand on the hip. You can bring your hands together in prayer. And again, if your hands are in prayer, use that to your advantage. Push in, broaden collarbones. Push elbow and knee together for the twist. And you can look down, you can look straight in line with the chest, you can look over that left shoulder up towards the left ceiling. I guess I could say the left ceiling, the ceiling. Maybe curling the right toes under and lifting that leg up. And then again, from there, I'm going to suggest that you traction your thighs towards each other, the scissor action, right? And find the pelvic floor, get that support system of the spine all the way through to the crown of the head. Breathe upon your arrival, right? And bring the hands down, last downward facing dog. Breathe. Child's pose. Ujjayi breath. And if you need another pose, take it. For my friends who have time, feel free to lie out on your back and do Shavasana from there. Otherwise, let's take just about 2 or 3 more breaths here from child's pose. Slowly start to bring yourself into your upright posture. And again, if you can stay in child's pose or Shavasana for longer, I would encourage that. Right? But I know some of us have time commitments, and so I'm trying to make slightly shorter videos, though, well, not slightly, I've been doing this for a while, like the 15-20 minute videos. Hands together in front of the heart, inhale. Maybe find that root lock, maybe that chin lock. If it doesn't make sense, again, I'll bring it in and teach it more in depth in another class. Namaste, friends. And just in case we moved some things around with those twists, drink lots of water. Plus, we need to hydrate anyway. It's really hot these days, right? So stay hydrated, electrolytes if you got them, and be well, my friends. May all beings everywhere be well, no exceptions.